I am ready whenever everybody else is.
When it comes to sentiments, health, and moods, music has a wide range of impacts on people's lives. After reviewing the stimulus material, it is easy to tell that inspiration is a key factor within many elements of human existence. Music has been inextricably linked to style and fashion. However, today's musicians have a considerably greater influence on what is now popular. These contemporary musicians, who are constantly co-signing brands in their songs and producing their clothing lines, have a greater effect on fashion than any other generation before them. Most artists dress in accordance with the kind of music that they perform. Nowadays, individuals dress in street-smart attire over traditional appeal. Some are plain jeans, whereas others are overdressed to the extreme. Throughout history, it has been demonstrated that music impacts fashion. However, with social media today playing such a significant part in how things are viewed and disseminated, that role has significantly grown in recent years. With a look back in history, it is clear that music has always impacted style and fashion. The decades of the 1960s is the most obvious. It is fairly common throughout the 1960s for fashion and music to be closely intertwined. On the other hand, music had a stronger influence on the path in which the fashion business finally ended up heading. During the 1960s, love and peace were the prevailing themes. Flowers, bell-bottom trousers, and brilliant colors were all part of the hippie aesthetic. Artists of the day wore their clothes in this manner as well. In a manner, the way they dressed and the clothes they wore had a role in the development of the fashion business. The music became associated with the hippie movement as well. This occurred during the 1970s when disco music was in its heyday and widespread. People's dancing and dressing styles were greatly affected by films. For example, Saturday Night Fever. Many young teenagers dressed in accordance with the theme employed by this genre. Some examples of how they dress are found on the left hand of the screen, where it shows you the classic attire for boys and girls during this time period. In the present, pop music and hip-hop have had a significant impact on the way most people dressed, or at the very least, what they chose to wear follows what is considered fashionable in that genre. Looking at the image on the left, you can clearly tell the difference between what was seen on the previous slide and what is shown here. For a short period, giant droopy pants and large gold chains could be found everywhere. Their use was popularized by musicians like Eazy-E, Tupac, and Notorious Big. During this period, several people in the fashion industry realized just how significant the effect of an artist had on the world of fashion. Several other musicians quickly followed and soon began promoting their apparel lines. Alternatively, they were employed by clothing businesses to market their products. In a sense, both the musicians and the music have had a significant impact on the fashion business. Because of the influence of indie music, slim jeans are now the uniform of choice for most teenagers. This implies that both the performer and the music to which they perform have had a significant impact on a direction in which the fashion industry is moving. All it takes is one song to completely transform a situation. Once a song gets successful, the fashion associated with the singer or band who performs the song has the potential to have a significant effect on the fashion industry. This then leads us into the problem that we tend to follow these changes blindly. The first solution would be to force all music-related activities to abide by the same format. However, there are two major concerns that arise when trying to carry out the solution. One is it limits everyone's freedom of speech. This then ties into the second problem that arises, it is completely unattainable. There's no logical way to carry out this process. The second solution would be to implement programs to educate the public on how to stay safe during these ever-changing trends. This, however, unlike the last one, is more obtainable. We have a budget for this, we are able to plan a strategy on how to execute this, and it fits more well in a typical person's time frame. Music and the musicians who create them have always had a significant impact on fashion trends. that have come and gone throughout the years. The fact is that artists have consistently set the tone for society, whether people are aware of it or not. Humans can reasonably assume that whatever the future big trend is, it will be born by one of today's most celebrated artists before seeing it on world streets. Fashion is today, more than ever, a significant component of music and its depiction, and its impact is only rising in importance. The mention of designers in lyrics have become a prevalent motive in recent years, linking the two and emphasizing their significance. Both are aware of their impact on each other, and we will only see this tie closely growing throughout time. Even though we are not able to control everything that happens within fashion and music, the most we can control is how informed the people are during these trends, as talked about before in this presentation. When trying to inform the public on how this happens, it would be a more logical solution and easier to approach. Thank you.
All right. For your oral defense questions, my first question is, how did you approach and synthesize the differing perspectives in order to reach your conclusion?
When talking about the different perspectives, I kind of incorporated different time frames. I used those as my perspectives and how people viewed fashion. I incorporated this into, may you repeat the question?
How did you approach and synthesize the differing perspectives in order to reach your conclusion?
Okay. This all had an impact on my conclusion because I took into account what people were like during those time frames, how it affected their personal life, and then I kind of combined all that into one solution.
Okay. All right, last question is, what are the implications of your findings to your community?
So when it comes to the implications of my findings on my community, it does definitely play a significant role in how things are viewed and disseminated. So basically, fashion is a major driving force in how we act, in society, how we do things, how we interact with people. Basically, it controls what we do, what we wear, everything else in our life. So as fashion changes, or as music helps the fashion business kind of establish new trends in our current society, you'll see that change arising in local schools, your community, neighborhoods, wherever you go in the public.
All right. Great job, Connor.